Hey there riders, Moto Journo Kris here, and I have got Suzuki's 1050 V-Strom XT thanks to Castle Hill's Moto Hub motorcycles. They've lent it to me for the day and I've just been out and enjoying myself on this adventure touring motorcycle. The XT model is the up-spec adventure model. The base model I believe is about 18 on road. The XT model in standard trim, this has got some extras on it, is about the 21k mark, and you do get the spoked wheels, you get additional electronics and things like that. But for now, I want to talk about the ergonomics of this particular bike. Now, weighing in at 250 kilos, this is a fairly heavy bike, and on top of that, you've got this 850mm seat height. What surprised me probably most of all with the V-Strom 1050 is just how accessible the bike felt really. I'm 180 centimeters, I've got a 32-inch inseam, and I found the reach to the ground on this bike quite easy. Now I'll jump on the bike and give you a bit of a look of the seating position and everything like that, but first I'll go over a couple of other features which are probably going to be of interest to people looking at an adventure bike and thinking about the ergonomic side of things. First off, you are getting an adjustable screen and you can move that up and down. It gives really good wind protection. I think that's in one of the more uppermost positions at the moment. Really good wind protection for me, and that is very easily adjustable by a latch on the front. You've also got adjustable levers as well, meaning depending on what kind of size hands you've got, you'll be able to adjust those. Hydraulic clutch, nice and light clutch, and you do have those hand guards there as well. The bars themselves, they're lifted up obviously above that tank and back towards the rider, very nice and wide bars. On the peg side of things, you have got rubber clad pegs as well, both for the rider and for the pillion. I didn't really find that there were very many vibrations at all on this machine, but those will help give you a bit better grip. As far as the rear of the bike, you're obviously getting quite a generous, nice flat pillion seat, which is going to mean that the pillion can jump on. They've got a reasonable reach to these pegs here. Unfortunately, I don't have a pillion to test today with me. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And you've got a grab rail on the back as well, which I really like on these style machines because it means the pillion can hold on to the grab rail instead of having to anchor themselves on the rider, which can get irritating for longer rides. Now obviously on this particular machine, as you can see here, it's got the full Suzuki panniers and top box. I don't believe those are standard fitment on the XT model, but I will check that and put that up on the screen whether it is or is not the case. However, it does make it a little bit harder to get your leg over the back of your bike. Now I'm going to jump on now and give you a bit of a look. So first up, as you can see here, I've got it on the side stand. I'll give you a look at the center stand as well. You've got both options on this bike, which is great to see. But as far as the side stand, it's probably going to be the more convenient overall way to park the bike in a lot of conditions. And hopefully, as you can see here, I've got plenty of room in this area of the bike, so if you're a much larger rider, you're still going to fit this bike very, very easily. Nice bit of angle on my legs as well. As I said, 180 centimeters, 32-inch inseam, very, very roomy bike. The bike is very narrow across the seat. It gets a little bit wider where you're grasping the tank between your legs because obviously that tank flares out. It's got a 20-litre tank on it. But I've got to say, this is a super, super narrow bike. And while the pegs themselves are somewhat in the way of me putting my legs down here, as you can see, realistically speaking, I can just get both feet flat with that 850mm seat height. So it's pretty commendable that they've made this quite an accessible machine, at least for someone in that 32-inch inseam like me, as far as getting the feet down, because I know a complaint that a lot of people have is the adventure bikes are too tall. Now, as far as adjustability, if you're thinking about that as buying one of these bikes and wondering what kind of adjustment you've got, on the rear you've got preload adjustability, which is obviously going to allow you to knock that up and down with external preload adjuster if you're putting someone on the back or if you're loading the bike up with heaps and heaps of luggage. On the front, you're getting fully adjustable forks. So you've got preload, rebound and compression on those forks. So you're getting a pretty high spec fork there as far as the adjustability that's on offer. As you can see here, as I mentioned, nice and wide bars, easy reach to those levers as well. You've got hydraulic brake, of course, and hydraulic clutch lever on it, and it's a nice light clutch action, which is really, really important. You've got heaps and heaps of wind protection, and you've got this dash here. There's a little bit of a cowl over the dash, no doubt, to help keep reflections off the dash so you can see that. It's not a TFT display, it's an LCD display, but nice and clear when you're sitting on the bike. I did really struggle to try and get some photos of the dash because the camera just didn't want to focus on it. But as far as my eyes, the dash works really, really well. The indicator lights are nice and visible. You've got a really easily used switch block on the left there to go through the electronics, so they've kept that nice and simple. You have got a couple of Suzuki's systems which make their bikes a little bit more rider friendly. So back to the overall riding position. As you can see here, I'm very, very upright. Obviously there's a lot of room on the bike in this central area here for me to lean in when things get a little bit sportier. But overall, I'd say it's quite a neutral seating position. Easy reach to the ground on either side. Getting 1 foot flat is absolutely easy. Getting 2 down, it's more the pegs that are in the way than anything else. I guess it's basically the pegs are right where my legs want to go down. You will probably find yourself kicking those panniers, unfortunately, getting on and off the bike, but if you've ever had solid panniers, you'll probably be used to that. That does tend to be the case just because of where they're positioned, but it doesn't look like there'll be too much of an effect on the pillion seating position with a good bit of room for their legs to come down and get onto those pegs. The seat itself, as you can probably see here, and I'll put a little bit of footage up, it's very narrow up the top here. It's got almost like a motocross style seat on it. It gets much nicer and wider at the rear, which is going to offer comfort for the highway riding, which of course is important when you're talking about the ergonomics of a bike like this. Comfort is really, really high on the list of features that you want to see. But again, it's quite narrow here where you put your legs down, which of course is helping you get your feet down and getting a secure foothold on the ground with the bike. As far as the bike itself, if you're moving at very low speeds, it's very, very easy to ride. It's very easy to maneuver under power. It does have combined brakes, as something to keep in mind, but I've got to say, obviously I can get a foot down, so that does help on the confidence side of things. But today I had, kind of a foot trailing along the ground, and I was just doing in gravel and stuff like that, U-turns, things like that. No issues at all on this particular machine. It's super, super stable. What I will say though is that if you're trying to push the bike around, you do feel that it's quite top heavy. You don't feel it at all when you're riding the bike. Generally speaking, it's such an easy and such an accessible machine to ride, which tends to be a case with many of these adventure bikes. I think people probably look at them and think they're big bikes and they're heavy bikes, and there's too much bike there for them to handle, but I think in some cases you'd probably find that a machine like the V-Strom 1050 is a very easy machine to handle, as long as you can get a foot down and once you've built up a little bit of confidence, which is of course important. With that center stand up, because that lifts the bike quite considerably, you're probably going to want to, as long as the bike is secure and it's not going anywhere, jump on the bike the way I did before on the side stand, where I put foot on the peg, and I'm holding that front brake there, and I'm jumping on. And as you can see, nice and stable on the center stand. And if I want to basically get it off, just rock it forward and you're good to go. Anyway, that's my thoughts about the ergonomics of Suzuki's V-Strom 1050 XT. This is the 2020 model. It's been updated. It's got a host of updates, which I will be talking about in the full review video, but that's the look just at the ergonomics. And a big thanks again to Moto Hub Motorcycles in Castle Hill for lending me the bike for the day. Very, very generous of them and does allow me to do these videos. Check them out if you're interested in Suzuki, Kawasaki, Husqvarna or KTM, because they've got them all and they've got a great range of bikes in stock at the moment. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you'd like to support the channel, hit sub and hit that notification bell. And as always, thanks for watching and stay safe out there.